Hello everyone and welcome again to another edition of Windows Server Core 2022 tips and tricks. In this edition I wanted to talk about failover, mainly failover clusters, how you can create a failover cluster with two nodes. So I'm gonna show you first of all how my setup works, because I have three different servers set up plus the domain controller, which is the fourth server. So I have here a server that is dedicated for iSCSI. As you can see, I got the iSCSI role installed, and here are gonna be our iSCSI disks that we are gonna be using in failover clustering. Next, I have two server cores which are similar, and one is the main server core and the second one is the backup server core. So on both of those we'll need to install hyperv role, and after that we'll install the failover cluster role and configure everything accordingly. And of course my domain controller, which holds the specific OUs, and here we have the iSCSI OU, where is the server which is gonna hold the iSCSI disks, and of course hyperv servers, so the main one and the backup one. Right, so first of all what we will need to do, we need to of course start with the installation of a hyperv role with all of its additional features and management tools. So on both our servers we are gonna do Install-WindowsFeature, hyperv includes all subfeatures, include management tools, and restart. Same we're gonna do here. So since this is gonna take a moment on both of them, I'm just gonna pause the video and unpause when everything is done. Okay, so the hyperv role has been installed. Now both machines are loading. Okay, so our next step is gonna be creating a iSCSI disk that we are gonna attach to both of those nodes, because this iSCSI disk is gonna be a valid point of our failover cluster as well. So once the both machines are loaded, I'm gonna start with creating the iSCSI disk. Okay, so now I'm gonna be logging into my iSCSI server. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna open PowerShell, because most of my commands are gonna be run in PowerShell. Okay, so the first command is gonna be Install-WindowsFeature, iscsi-target-server, IncludeAllSubfeatures, IncludeManagementTools, and so on and so on. So this is basically gonna be running. Okay. Next, we are gonna be creating a iSCSI virtual disk that is gonna be located in the ePath. So let's go here. So it's gonna be on the E drive and in the iSCSIVolumes, and this is how it's gonna be called. and this is the description of the disk, and the disk size is going to be 30 gigs. Okay, so before we do this, I'm just gonna check, because as you can see, I have created an additional disk that is called iSCSI disk E. It has just 60 gigs, but we are gonna create a virtual disk that has only 30 gigs here. It's gonna be located here, and here we have an iSCSIVolumes folder, which this disk is gonna be located in. So okay, so let's open it, and here is our drive, iSCSI1. I'm gonna just delete this one. Okay, so we got this in our volumes, and the status is not connected. So if we go here to iSCSI, so maybe I will show it from here. We got the dashboard, we go to files and storage, go to iSCSI, and now let's refresh. As you can see, we got a new disk that is 30 gigs, but is not connected to any of the nodes yet. Okay, next what we are gonna be doing, we're gonna be mapping this disk to both targets, so node 1 and node 2. So it looks like this: New-iSCSIVirtualDisk, which is of course this iSCSI1, InitiatorIds, so we have to specify the both two IP addresses of the nodes, which in my case is 8 and 7, because I'm gonna be mapping it to my hyperv and a hyperv backup. Okay. So next, now we are gonna be adding iSCSIVirtualDiskTargetMapping, and the target name of course is iSCSI1. Alright. Okay, so now we are gonna be moving to the domain controller, and all of the commands are gonna be done from PowerShell from the domain controller here. So we're gonna switch to the domain controller. Let's open PowerShell. Okay. So let's now what we are gonna be doing, we're gonna invoke a command. So we're gonna choose two nodes, which is of course hyperv and hypervbackup, so both of the computers. And we're gonna do a script block, and we're gonna set the service, which is msiscsi, and we're gonna set the service on both of those nodes to automatic, and we're gonna start the msiscsi service on both of those workstations. Okay. Okay, now we are gonna specify a target portal. So actually we are gonna connect both of those nodes, so in my case hyperv and hyperv backup, we are gonna connect to the iSCSI server, so the one that holds the virtual drive that we have just created, the 30 gig one. Of course, under this video I'm gonna post all of those commands. Okay, so there we go. Both nodes have reached the target. Okay, so now just to be sure, what we are gonna be doing now, we are gonna get the iSCSI-Target-Portal and we're gonna update the iSCSI-Target-Portal because we have added those two nodes. So we're gonna update the portal just in case. Okay. Okay, and next we are gonna actually get the iSCSI target. And there we go. So basically this is our iSCSI1 that we are interested in, because previously I have also created an iSCSI disk, the one that I actually deleted, and this was the disk. But we are interested in iSCSI1 because that's the one that we were previously creating. We have previously created this one, right? So we are only interested in this disk. So we need to remember this line, the node address, which I'm gonna actually copy because it's gonna be handy. Okay, and now what we are gonna be doing, we are gonna invoke another command, and here we are using the first node, which is hyperv. Of course, we are gonna be connecting hyperv to iSCSI target using the name, the node address that is specified here. That's why I needed it. So we copy and paste it here. It's gonna be persistent, which is set to true. Initial portal address. Of course, this is the address of my hyperv node, and the target portal that we are gonna be connecting the node to is of course this. So this is the iSCSI server with the disk. Okay, so the first one is done, and now the second one. Sorry for the constant switching, but I have my notes on a different PC, so I need to switch. Okay, so basically this is copy paste, it's the same, we just change the name of the node and the address of the node here. Again, we are connecting the second node to the portal. And is persistent? True. Okay. Is connected? True. So both of them are, as you can see, connected. Okay. So now the last thing to do, we are gonna run another command that is gonna specify two of the nodes, and we're gonna get the iSCSI session, and we're gonna register the existing iSCSI session. Okay, so everything has been completed. Okay, so now what we are gonna be doing, now we're gonna move actually to both of our nodes. So I'm gonna be entering both of the nodes. Because we need to actually use disk management just to pick up the 30 gig disk. So as you can see, hyperv, so this is the first server, this is like the main server. So I'm just gonna open here, I'm gonna show you how it actually looks. Okay, MMC as well. Okay, so now we are on the first node. I'm gonna add a snap-in. And maybe here I'm just gonna go Okay, so on the first node we are gonna be adding the disk management. Okay, we need to open the disk management. As you can see, here is our iSCSI disk. It's still offline, so we need to just put it online and then initialize the disk. And next we're gonna make a volume, E drive, I'm just gonna call it iSCSI. Okay, so this is how it looks right now. And if we go to just gonna check here. As you can see in the second node, we don't have the disk connected yet. But if I choose the snap in here, let's do the disk management. We're gonna add, finish, gonna do OK, and let's check what is gonna be in here. Okay, so here's our disk. Let's put it online, and as you can see, actually already it is online, and it is formatted and it is prepared. So basically, if you do it here, as you can see, I got the disk here. Can go into the disk. So if you do it on the first node, it actually is gonna appear here as well. We just need to go online. Basically, the disk is finished. We don't need to do anything here. All it needed was to go with it online. And here we go. Okay, so both disks are set on both nodes. Just gonna close it because I'm not gonna be using it anymore. And what's next? Well, we are gonna be installing, of course, our failover clustering. But before that, I wanted to actually check Hyper-V, because we got our Hyper-V installed. So let's open the Hyper-V manager. Okay. And before we actually commence with the installation of the failover cluster, I think it's still working. Okay, got it here. Let's go to Hyper-V settings. Okay, Hyper-V settings. And I just wanted to change different things about it. Because I wanted to change the paths for the virtual hard disks and for the configuration. And since we have connected our iSCSI drive, select this, I wanted to point it to our iSCSI drive. Okay, iSCSI, select the folder or the disk, sorry. Okay, let's go with the enhanced session. Fine. Now we're gonna go to switch manager, external, we're gonna create an external switch, which we are gonna call Hyper-V. Yeah. So in this preparation, this lab, I have only one network adapter, of course, in a production environment, you would have like couple of network adapters. You would also probably have configured NIC teaming. So I don't have this here, so it's a high probability that when I install the failover cluster and I'm gonna be running the test that will actually check all of the things regarding my two nodes. If they pass all the requirements for a failover cluster configuration, probably I'm gonna have some errors in the networking because I don't have two network adapters, I don't have NIC teaming, so probably I will have some errors there. Let's check here as well, because we need to set the same settings here for hyperv. Right, let's wait a second. Okay, so let's go again to the settings. Again, we're gonna browse, and I'm gonna change to iSCSI. Same goes here. Okay, iSCSI select apply. Okay, and now hand session apply. Okay, gonna create a virtual switch as well, and I'm gonna name the switch the same way, so there isn't any misspellings, and the switches are basically called the same right now on both of the nodes. Okay, so I think that's all we needed to do here regarding Hyper-V. Now we can install the failover clustering role. So actually I will install it from my domain controller. So I'm just gonna go to my DC. And I'm gonna install this feature for those two nodes from my DC. So failover clustering, include all sub-features, include management tools, and restart. So both of the servers should restart after the role has been installed. I'm gonna be back when it's done. Okay, so let's check. As you can see, the command has been successful, so exit code success, failover clustering, success true, restart needed no, success true. So on both nodes the clustering has been actually installed, and now we can, well, probably this is still restarting, yeah. So we can actually go here. I'm gonna log in, and we're gonna wait until the first one logs as well, and then we are gonna commence with the configuration of failover clustering and tests. Okay, so both of the nodes are up. So now what we are gonna be doing, we're gonna test our cluster, and we are gonna test those both nodes. And I'm gonna be doing it, as you can see, in the context mode. So if you run verbose, you should have some test results inputted here. So at the end you should also see a whole summary that is gonna be compiled into a HTML or HTML file. Of course, as you can see, it's the tests are running, so I won't be able to probably view the HTML file here because I don't have anything like Edge or Chrome or Firefox installed in my Windows Server core. But I can always open it from inside of my Windows desktop that I have, the GUI version. So we could take a look upon the results of the test. Because here you will only have like a couple of things related to the test. You will see which validation came with the pass and which failed. But if you want more details, you need to actually read the report. Of course, you can do the report. Maybe I'll go here. Let's open MMC. I'm gonna add a snap in here. I'm gonna add the failover cluster manager snap in, because we have failover cluster manager host and the manager, and that's the one that we are interested in. So it's gonna take a moment, probably. For now, let's check. So everything is running, okay. Of course, if it goes to failover clustering, one of the prerequisites that you have to have set up is software updates. So first of all, if you have like two servers, make sure they are up to date, both of them, because if they are not gonna pass the test in here if it goes to the report. Of course, if it's not really important for you, that's fine, but I'm trying to have as many passed on my checklist as I can, so I'm trying always to improve everything. As I said before, probably I'm gonna have a fail on the networking because I don't have any NIC teaming and I don't have any additional network adapters because this is only a lab environment, so it's obviously it's gonna fail. So we're gonna see in a moment probably, because now it's system configuration, now it's starting the network config. So we got the metric order which was passed, valid cluster configuration has passed, IP configuration has passed, and now probably it's gonna be a fail. Because now it's checking the connection between the nodes on the internet and it's checking it through one wire. So it's gonna detect that it has one wire and one wire only, and it should have at least two. Because in case of any failures, you would have to switch to another one. Okay, so let's go back here because manager has been added. If you want to actually make this test from the GUI perspective, not from the PowerShell, and you want to have the report, and all you need to do is just do the validate configuration. And if we go to validate configuration, let's check here. So let's check what we had. Network warning. As you can see, network validation, network communication, the test reported some warnings. Okay, so basically everything has passed, only here I had the warning. So as you can see, the test results are located here, so you need to go to the temp folder. Basically, if we go here and we're gonna do this, we have the test results in our validation report, and it's in XML and HTML. So I'm gonna just posted temp. So here's the validation report in HTML. Probably won't be able to do it on the DC. Okay, so I have opened the report. Just a second. Just gonna try to stretch it out a little bit. So this is how the report looks. So as you can see, the configuration has passed, inventory has passed, storage has passed, system config has passed only the network, and we have only one issue: validate network communication. Of course, node hyperv backup is reachable from node hyperv by only one pair of network interfaces. So that's the thing I told you about. I would have to have another network adapter here attached, at least. Okay, but we are just gonna skip this because that's the only thing here. So this is basically how the report looks like. You can have it in HTML or XML file. You can open it either from the Windows Server core if you have Edge installed, or you can open it from a different GUI version of Windows Server. Okay, so going back to what I wanted to show you, validate configuration, how you can do it from the GUI perspective. So this is the wizard. From here you are just browsing and you're basically reaching into the domain. Of course, okay, and here you are just picking both nodes that you want to have the test run for. So you can either do it by PowerShell or you can do it like this, doesn't matter really. Then you have run all the tests, which is recommended. You just pick next, then is the confirmation. So here is the whole configuration and all the things that are gonna be checked for both nodes. And here is the test, and the test looks just like this from the GUI perspective. So here you have all the things, you can see which have passed, which haven't, and at the end you're gonna have the summary. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so basically now what remains, we need to create a new cluster because we have the role installed, but the cluster is not operational. So you can of course do it again from the PowerShell, from the commands, or you can do it from the GUI. So if you want to do it from the GUI version, I'm just gonna open it here once again. Let's add the cluster. Okay, let's check how the test is going. It's going fine. It had an error there, I saw it. And now we are passing here, so Failover Cluster Manager. And now if you would like to create a new cluster, you can do it from here, create cluster. Let's check. It's almost finishing. Almost done. Okay, so we're gonna go with create the cluster. And here's the wizard, of course. You can go through. You can, from here you are browsing again. You have to pick the two nodes as before. Oh, basically it's the same thing. We are adding both nodes. the cluster. Then we are naming the cluster and we need to give it an IP address. So of course you need to have a fixed static IP address here. You're gonna give it to the cluster, then it's the confirmation of everything, and then we are creating a new cluster, which I'm not gonna do because I want to do it through the command. I'm not gonna do it through the GUI version, but basically this is how it looks in the GUI version. It's very easy, basic, nothing to it. Okay, I'm gonna close this, and actually let's check if the test, yeah, the test has finished. So we got a warning here again about software updates, which I think I didn't add in the PowerShell command, and of course network communication. So probably I'm missing a few updates here on the server. That's the thing. And system config, I have a warning here as well. So probably somewhere something is also missing. So as you can see, if you do it in the GUI version, you can get a little bit more insight than from the PowerShell, because the PowerShell, I guess, it wasn't so thorough, because it basically skipped like software updates, I guess. I don't know, maybe. Okay, so let's go here, and now we're gonna create a cluster. So this is the name of the cluster, hyperv cluster, including the nodes and static IP address, which I'm gonna maybe change to 24, like let's say, and we're gonna create the cluster here. And the thing is that of course the cluster is automatically added to your Active Directory domain, so it should appear in the OU next to your servers. So if I have my servers in my OU for Hyper-V, then the cluster should also appear next to them. Basically here, if I refresh, we have Hyper-V cluster, so basically added it right away. We're just gonna take a look in the DNS if everything is well, and the DNS sees the cluster, so the cluster is here. Let's check if the reverse lookup zone has the cluster as well. It doesn't, so we need to go here, and I'm just gonna do the properties, update associated pointer, PTR record is gonna be updated now, and we are gonna be refreshing here, so we got our PTR record for Hyper-V cluster. Fine. So basically if I go now from here, I'm gonna type ping Hyper-V cluster. I'm able to resolve the name to the IP address and reach the cluster. So everything is working fine. So the cluster has been created, as you can see. So from now I'm just gonna restart both of the nodes just to be sure. I'm gonna let them restart all the services and run them again. And once the nodes are up, we are gonna configure our cluster. Okay, so the nodes are back again, and we can now go to MMC. I'm gonna open the snap-in, and we're gonna connect to our failover cluster. Okay. gonna connect to the cluster. Okay, so we have connected. Let's check the error, because we have one error here, and the error corresponds to cluster resource, cluster group, VME of type cluster VME role failed. Okay, gonna reset the event, and let's check what do we have. So we go to roles, we don't have anything here. We got our nodes, so both of the nodes are up. Of course, here you can check all the things regarding the nodes. Network connection, as you can see, I have only one adapter, as I said. Roles, disks, of course, the cluster disk, the 30 gigs disks that is used by iSCSI. Physical disks, nothing here. Okay. And we got, of course, our networks, so I got only one network here. Okay, so now we're gonna go here, we're gonna check more actions, configure cluster quorum settings. Let's check next. And basically here we have like three different options. So we can select the default quorum configuration, which is basically the best option here that is recommended by Microsoft. So basically this option picks the best options that are available for your cluster failover cluster. Select the quorum witness. You can add or change the quorum witness. The cluster determines the other quorum management options. So it's basically done manually, and this advanced quorum configuration, you will basically choose all the options that are connected to the cluster. So I'm just gonna pick this. Okay, next, and finish. And basically that's it. So now I think I will actually conclude this video. In the next video I'm gonna go back to the Hyper-V cluster, and we are gonna be looking on actually doing a let's say how does the cluster actually work, because the basic thing is when one node goes down, the second node takes all the VMs, right? This is how it's supposed to be. So if this node goes down, this node takes over everything. So we are gonna be practicing this in the next video. And for now, I think we have reached the limit of time. So if you liked the content, like and subscribe. And of course, I will see you in the next video.